Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me for another edition of Breaking Bitcoin Market Update. Of course, I'm your host, Justin Wise, lead analyst and senior mentor at Cryptocurrency.com. Hope you're doing fantastic wherever you do happen to be tuning in from. Of course, we are joined today on this wonderful day, April the 18th, 2019, foul year of our Lord. How are you guys doing in the chat? Let me know. I see Andrew. I'm looking at the chat through the Restream chat, so hopefully I'm not missing anything pertinent. Unless nobody's talking. Okay, cool. All right, good. Seems like I got everything working good. All right, I see Andrew, I see 600th, I see Ed Webb. What's going on, man? Yeah, we're going to talk about the Waves flash crash, and we're going to talk in a broader sense about how you could potentially take advantage of certain things like that. It does require a different approach. It requires a different approach to the market. It requires a strategic positioning of where you set your bids, because obviously you can never predict when something is going to crash down to 10 sats like that, for example. But we will point out we'll point out in my eyes, at least, it's not, I wouldn't say it's the best method for trading. It's not generally, you generally don't see this type of behavior on any other asset on any other platform, but in cryptocurrency, you can see these insane, highly volatile movements. And if you do adopt a certain strategy, you can take advantage of those. What I refer to them as like Hail Mary bids, Hail Mary limit orders, which are going to be ridiculously above price or ridiculously below price, and are typically there just to take advantage of said circumstances, right? So there's going to be something where maybe you take 10 or 15% of your portfolio or more, depending on how much you want to look into the strategy. And I would be interested to see if you guys want to adopt this strategy. You guys know kind of how I feel about trading. Whatever you want to do is probably going to work. I get so many questions on a daily basis. People ask me, especially because I'm the one out there promoting if this, then that strategies, which work. They really do work. They work better than generally anybody that I talk to. When they develop an if this then that strategy, when I help them develop an if this then that strategy, it's kind of like the scales have been pulled from their eyes, because no longer do they have to worry about, when do I enter a trade? When do I take profit? You need a system that tells you what to do when. If you want to be a professional trader, or if you want to just be successful in this field, in this wonderful space that we do call cryptocurrency trading. So today's schedule, we're going to look at Bitcoin. We're going to look at Ethereum. We've been ignoring Ethereum during the daily analysis, but we're going to take a look at Ethereum today because it's pretty interesting. It's a pretty good chart, and it gives me an example to point out some fundamentals of price action trading. When I talk about an if this then that strategy, it can be whatever you want it to be. It can be price action based. It can be order book trading based. It can be technical indicator based, which is largely where my strategy falls into. It can be sentimental based. It can be sentiment based. It can be fundamentals based. Anything's fine as long as you can develop rules and a system. Now, there are elements that this system has to have. If your system cannot do these things, it's not a good trading strategy. Here are the things that your system needs to do. And this is just a brief list. There's a lot more. And this is what I go into in depth with the premium members, especially when we start rolling out the advanced course that's going to be coming out in May. You need to be able to, with your system, it needs to tell you when to enter. It needs to tell you when to exit. It needs to tell you how much of your capital to put into a trade. It needs to tell you where to cut a loss, no questions asked. It needs to be, and this is the big one right here. So all that stuff's like, yeah, okay, obviously we need some system that tells us when to enter, when to exit, when to take profit, and when to take a loss. Okay. But the big thing is you have to be able to back test it. You have to be able to back test it. You have to be able to back test it for a certain amount of time, a good amount of time. I would say if you could go back as far as you can on any asset, and with altcoins, this is going to be a little tricky. With not tricky. With altcoins, it can be more difficult than doing this in Forex or traditional markets, for example, because you just don't have a lot of historical price data. But what we do have for cryptocurrencies, for most of the major cryptocurrencies that have been around for several years, is we've seen several different market cycles, right? We've seen pumps, we've seen crashes, we've seen bullish expansion, we've seen bearish contraction, you've seen consolidation, you've seen accumulation, you've seen distribution. On just about any coin that's been around for several years, you'll be able to back test effectively, right? Most coins, if you can back test over a year, you're going to be good to go. You're going to have good data that you can rely on, that you can look at, and you can create a trading journal that says, okay. And to backtest, by the way, you don't have to be good at time, right? When I say backtesting, people generally jump right to, oh, well, that means creating a strategy tester in TradingView, and I don't know how to code. I don't know anything about Pine. Pine sucks anyways, dude. You don't need to know that information. All you need is a piece of paper or a spreadsheet, which is probably better for you guys, is a piece of paper, a pencil, or a mouse and spreadsheet. Okay, but I digress. And a chart. And you just design rules for your strategy. You go back in time and you tell yourself, okay, these are the objective rules to my strategy. I've written them out on a piece of paper. And you just look at all the signals that your strategy would have given you. Now, this becomes a little bit more difficult for order book trading or for price action based trading. So not price action based trading, but things like volume, things like the order book, right? Things like significant trades. These become a little bit more tricky to backtest. Does that mean all hope is lost for testing the system? No, not really. There is historical data out there. This is not my specialty, but there is historical data out there. And because I know that we have members in the Discord that this is how they like to trade. This is kind of their jam. So the people are out there that can help point you in the right direction for those resources. And with a little bit of digging, a little bit of time, patience, and energy. And again, if this is something that you really want, you've got to work hard for it. That information is out there and you can find it and utilize that. The best data that you can find, try to find the best, the cleanest, the most consistent data that you can find to backtest your strategy on, to see, okay, I would have taken a trade based on this, I would have taken a trade based on that. But your strategy has to have rules. If your strategy doesn't have rules, you're just swimming in the dark and you're entering into the realm of subjectivity, and you are now going to be falling most likely into the 90% of traders who lose money and the 9% of traders who don't do very well, as opposed to the 1% of traders who actually do well and make it in this space. Why? Because they have disciplined strategies. That's it. It's the only thing. I've talked to lots of different traders over the years, and every profitable trader that I know that makes it for quite a while and stays in this space for a while, when I ask them what their strategy is, and assuming that they're willing to reveal their strategy, or even assuming that they're not, but they're going to be able to be like, they're going to answer yes to those questions. Does it tell you when to enter? Does it tell you when to exit? Do you argue with your strategy? Does it tell you when to take profit? Does it tell you when to take a loss? Can you back test it? Can you forward test it? Yes, 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 yes. Never knows. I've never met a profitable trader who makes it, right? I've met profitable traders who are profitable for short periods of time, right? They get lucky, they catch a nice pump, they catch a nice trend, they think they're hot shit, they're posting on Twitter. And then over time, they are exposed by the market, because the market is going to do what the market does. And if you don't have a disciplined strategy to tell you when to cut your losses, because that's generally the most important part of money management, is knowing when to take a loss, knowing how much to position size. And a lot of that's just being a mature adult with a longer time frame. All right. A lot of people think that they're going to come into cryptocurrency and they're going to get rich overnight. And although you can get fantastic returns in cryptocurrency by letting your winners run, If you're not careful, consolidation areas are going to chop you up. Ranges can chop you up if you're not using the right tools. I personally happen to love consolidation ranges, but that's just me. So anyways, I digress. So your strategy needs to have those elements. Now that I've ranted on that for a while, we can talk about other stuff. All right. Let's see here. Andrew says, please explain how to handle these Binance DEX pumps. Hard to justify not chasing Mithril this morning. Barf. So typically, I don't chase large candles. That's not a good strategy. It doesn't have a good system of working out. What I do like to do though is I like to look at breakouts, and I like to see BPC trades. I like to see break, pullback, continuation trades that fit my parameters. I'm never going to market enter onto a big pump candle. It's just not going to happen. And if I miss that trade, I miss that trade. It's not the last trade in the world. And I would suggest that with that mentality, or just the way that you structured that, now I could be completely wrong, but I would assume that the natural, and this is just fact, the natural feeling that one comes across when they see like a large movement that they missed, and they think to themselves, oh man, if I could have just caught that move, man, I'd have so much more money right now. Or for example, say that you are position sizing responsibly and appropriately in a way that you will grow your account sustainably over time, and you'll be able to do this for a long period of time. And by the time that you're able to retire or pass your money down or want to do something with your money, your trading account, you will have grown it in a consistent, sustainable fashion, right? As opposed to the majority of traders who come in, try to grow their account really quickly, burn out, blast out, and they're out of the game. It's no different than gambling at a poker table. As long as you can have a stack, as long as you can preserve your stack, you can continue to grow that stack. But if you start blowing your stack out, you're going to move down and down and down and down the tables till you're sitting at the kiddie table, and then you're sitting in the backyard, passing out drinks from the cooler. Now, the main example I think there is you put a lot of money, or you put some money into a trade, you're position sizing appropriately, and then the trade enters into a strong trend, and you're taking profit responsibly and taking profit along the way. But you look back and you think, man, if I just would have put like 3 times as much money into that trade, I mean, look how much money I'd have right now. That's a bad mentality. You just want to cleanse yourself of that kind of thinking, because you don't have a crystal ball. I don't have a crystal ball, and I do this professionally. You never know when a trade's going to enter into a strong trend. You never know when you should put more money into a trade. So you don't, right? You have a strategy to position size responsibly and appropriately in a way that will not significantly damage your account should you incur a loss, because the odds of you incurring a loss are 50-50. Right? You're either going to make a gain, you're going to make, well, 3 things can happen. Really, it's 33%, but price is either going to move up, it's going to move down, or it's going to move sideways. Now, opportunities do emerge when price continues to move sideways, but I digress. But that kind of thinking that, oh, if I just would have put more money into this trade, that's going to get you into a really bad mentality, a bad psychology, because then the next trade, you are going to have that kicking around in the back of your head, and you're going to think to yourself, well, this is going to be the one, so guess what? I'm tripling down on this trade, man. I have a $5,000 account. I only put $1,500 into that last trade. I'm going all in on this one because this is the one. And then you get stopped out, and you end up losing 3 times as much as you normally should have. And now it's going to take you 3 trades to just earn that back, right? You're going to be scraping to get back, and that gets you in panic. That gets you worried about, your bottom line. That generally leads you to put on more risk in the future to try to earn back your account. And that's just the downward spiral that eventually leads with your account being blown out and with a liquidation notice on BitMEX. I've just seen it time and time again. It's happened to me. So, yeah, get away from that kind of mentality, man. Let's see here. Casey Taylor says, what's up, my pale-skinned brother? Let's go. Tony M., good to see you. Adam Collector Records, good evening. Aristos Malopoulos, we're here. We are here, man. Alex Valiv says, please look at ZERP. We'll look at ZERP, man. We'll add it to the schedule. Turd Ferguson, what's up, CC family? Nice to see you all here today. Good to see you here, man. Jurgen Ernst says, if you appreciate free content and find value here, hit the likes. Thank you so much, man. It's Hard says, you look much smarter than Tonebase. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate that. William Cass says, can we see what's going on with Litecoin right now? Just a quick pump, then back down. We'll take a look. Okay, so let's get over to the charts. Okay. All right, just a second here. Huzzah! Boom. And here we are in the live scene. Okay, so let's update the schedule. Like I said, we're going to be looking at XRP M19, XRP Oost, and Litecoin. That's an inside joke. I know how Litecoin's spelled, just so before anybody's like, it's not spelled that way. You don't even know what you're talking about. You even crypto, bro? Yes, I know how Litecoin's. All right, and we'll do that like that. Okay, great. Hopefully the reason, there we go. Vet, BNB, and BAT. Okay. All right, so let's look what's going on with Bitcoin. So what's Bitcoin doing right now? It is still testing the bearish initiation zone right now. A lot of people are looking at this and sentiment is starting to flip to the bullish side. People are saying, Justin, what the hell are you doing, man? Why do you have a short position in on Bitcoin? Well, because my trading thesis is still intact. This is exactly what I expected to see out of Bitcoin. Would it be amazing for my trade if price would just and fall down here to the daily Tinkin? Sure, it would, but best laid plans of mice and men. Anyway, so here's what's going on, and here's what I see in the chart. I see a little volume on these movements upwards, honestly. But, obviously it doesn't take a genius to see the prices continuing to move up in a bullish ascension right now. We still have this bearish order block that price has to get over, and that is the main thing that I'm focusing on right now. The fact of the matter remains that bears or sellers initiated strong positions, really starting here, obviously, but then continuing on here. So this wick right here, the top of this daily candle on the 9th, represented the savviest institutional order flow. And this down candle right here represents a shift in market structure that initiated a lot of selling that we had not previously seen in the market. Just looking here on the daily time frame, we can see that ever since the bullish breakout on the 1st of April, nice little April Fool's Day joke, ever since that bullish breakout on April 1st, we haven't had any significant selling that ended the candle bearishly and that resulted in a bearish Heikin-Ashi candle. In fact, we only have had 4 of them so far, to be quite honest. But nothing compared to this. There was very good volume on this candle as well. There was a lot of open interest that was cleared out on that candle. So I view that as a significant candle in the market that I do now have to base the initiation of trades off of. So my initial order, my initial short from 53.50 is still intact. I have 60% left of that position. So I've taken 40% profit. So the trade's already a winner. I can't lose money on that trade. I do have my stop loss set at break even. Because it's once I've made money, I've moved my stop loss to, I take profit, I've moved my stop loss to break even, and I don't allow myself to lose any money. So if Bitcoin, let's say that Bitcoin goes completely against my trade thesis right here and pumps majestically. Ideally, I'll find an opportunity to get in on that movement, but I've locked in my profit. I've guaranteed that my trade is a winner. So again, I'm more concerned as a trader. You should always be concerned with dropping losses off of your record and growing your portfolio over time sustainably. Okay. Now, as far as my spot position, although I am short on BitMEX, as far as spot BTC goes, I'm not holding any Tether. I still have not sold my Bitcoin back into Tether. I need to see a couple things for that to happen. I need to see a massive rejection from the 6K resistance or a dropout of this consolidation period right here. I need to see this turn into a confirmed distribution pattern and form a lower low by closing the daily below this level of support right here. The $5,000 level would be sufficient for me. That's a nice psychological level, congruent with previous resistance, current support. On daily closing basis, we can see how it was resistance over here until broken through. It was back tested with a Darth Maul candle, and then we got the kickoff. So there's that nice BPC trade. We also had this ascending trend line at that point in time that price did pull back down and test as well. Now, a little bit of an extreme Darth Maul candle. Those always are kind of like, whoa, is price going to go up or go down? And it's impossible to tell after a Darth Maul candle because it has just about equal odds. But you can look at other data. You can look at the way the order book is stacking up. You can see which orders are getting eaten into, which orders are spoofing. You can look at sentiment, for example. And I want to point out something here with sentiment that I think strengthens my argument. And again, I'm not concerned with being right. I'm only concerned with making money. So if you don't think that my trade setup for Bitcoin at this point in time is congruent with your thesis, that's absolutely fine. Like, I'm not here to be right. I'm here to make money. So if you have some interesting charts you'd like to post, please join the Discord, guys. Discord.crackingcryptocurrency.com. We've got a very active community there. Go to the trading chat channel and you can post your charts and setups and communicate with other traders. It's not like listen, I've talked to some traders and they're like, well, I don't want to share my charts because then I don't want the market to know what I'm doing. I want to like hide back in the weeds. Listen, guys, unless you work for a prop desk or a hedge fund, or you are one of those rare like Bitcoin, millionaires that actively trade on BitMEX, for example, you can put your trade idea out there, man. Like you're not gonna, it's not like, okay, like that's why I do the live stream, right? It's not like I'm gonna publish ideas here and you guys see and follow along with a lot of my trades. And I know because of the DMs that I get. The overwhelming response that I get is like, hey man, great call on so-and-so. In fact, by the way, this is like, I don't want to like stroke my own tail feather or anything, but I just was noticing, because I publish a lot on TradingView, but I have a bad habit of not posting a lot of public ideas. I've just been so busy lately with everything that's been going on, working on the new videos, working on my new indicators, working on my new strategies, actively trading, working one-on-one with the guys, as well as everything else that just comes with running your own business. Plus, and I digress. I don't want to go too deep into it, but there's some family members of mine that are going through some medical issues right now. So that's been taking a little bit of my time as well. Basically, the free time that I do have left. So no Netflixing for me to fall asleep. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see here. But I did notice that I saw on my TradingView, my alerts that, hey, somebody was liking a lot of your old public ideas. And I like went back and looked through and I was like, wow. Nailed it. Anyways, but I mean, that's I just foresaw that was, so we're talking several months ago, and it was pretty easy to have a bullish bias on altcoins. So just about all the public altcoin calls that I made worked out very well in the long term. I am Spin B says 4,000 subs and over 500 watching. Cracking Crypto subs are dedicated. Best damn show on the tube. Thank you, man. I highly appreciate that. Maybe an idea on Mithril if there's time. Trying to find the pullback zone. Yeah, sure. We'll just be looking for a BPC. We'll be looking for a BPC, or you can look on the lower time frames and look for a bullish continuation pattern. Second, the LTC USDT request. Okay, so we want to look at LTC USDT. Okay, great. Hey Scott, I'm so Kate. Binance frozen. The alts have no movements. Interesting. Yeah, I don't quite know at this second. Let's find out. Let's go look at waves, because we'll be looking at waves here in a second. Say what? When I see stuff like this on my charts, I usually just leave one sign here. I just give it the good old keck. Like, like TRX has one of those, right? Like we were looking at Tron in the group the other day. All right, and I mean seriously, like, because there were some indications on we had been eyeing Tron for a potential long, and we didn't make the call. We didn't buy Tron. In fact, quite the opposite. But anyways, we just looked. We were looking at, obviously, we start off all our analysis with looking at the underlying spot prices of stuff, spot prices of things, and this is the only bullish idea that I could come up with. Is this setup right here. Now, that's not an active trade. It's nothing that I'm in, but just looking at, it's a weekly order block. Right. So we can see a shift in market structure and a bearish candle, which was the last down candle before a continuation pattern to the upside. Weekly time transformation giving you a very beautiful sell. I mean, just nailing it here. Here's your weekly buys on Tron. Here's your weekly sells on Tron. And I mean, beautiful, just beautiful. 106% trade right there. Beautiful. Anyways, so this is the only vestige that I can see. We're just targeting the lower wicks, potentially for a trade with a tight stop. Now, it's not anything that I'm going to take. It's a potential that I could take it. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to take it, but I don't like the way the Tron looks right now. You've got this massive inefficiency in the market right here that price loves to backtest and test these inefficiencies in the market. Basically, whenever you get a sustained breakout, we're talking about the macro scale here. So like the monthly chart, the weekly chart, is this the bottom for Tron? Is Tron going to go lower than 421 sats, for example, right? Are we going to descend back into our accumulation zone? Because we can see this nice double bottom accumulation pattern. We can see the slow rise in volume. We can see the slow rise in volume and then the breakout. And then we went and we entered into a very bullish trend for a period of several months till we topped out. And I was trying to think of how I could explain some correlation between this topping pattern and what Bitcoin's doing right now, but I digress. And anyways, we're just, this is nothing that you buy, man. This is nothing that you buy. This is nothing that you buy. This is something that you buy on the weekly time frame, right? There's a lot of credence. There's a lot of credence to be said for trading altcoins on lower time frames, and that's something that I did for a long time and still do when the trade is right, when the setup's right. But in general, when you're talking about altcoins, you should really get off the 15-minute chart, and you should really stick to the weekly as the basis for your trade setups, because all that like intraday volatility that you're going to see, oh, price went up 5%, price went down 7%, price is like little sideways, constantly refreshing coin market cap. Just look at the weekly chart. I mean, because these things take a while to accumulate, they expand, and then they give you good signals, and they're pretty easy to see, right? Like when an altcoin starts moving significantly, it tends to continue moving in that direction for a while. It's just the force of momentum and laws of physics, guys. So just look at the opportunity loss of looking at the 1 hour chart on Tron, for example. Like the opportunity loss of looking at the 1 hour chart on Tron, as opposed, and the anxiety and the frequency of trading, as opposed to the weekly time frame. It's very clean. And not all altcoins are like that and can be traded like that, but just a good example. I always start off with the weekly chart. Okay, so waves. Anyways, so we went over here. We went over here in the first place to look for to look and see if there was movement. I mean, it seems fine to me. Waves is moving. Yeah, it's moving, man. So I digress. We'll talk about this in a second. But let's get back over into Bitcoin. So, anyways, I mean, price action's telling us pretty much everything that we need to see right here. We have bearish initiation, right? We have a strong bearish candle to the downside. Price is retesting that zone to test the resolve of sellers, right? So we have a lot of position sellers at this point in time. We have a lot of position sellers. And just as we saw, similarly to what we saw here. Okay, so similarly to what we saw over here, if you guys have been following the channel for a while, let's go to the weekly. We had this order block that we had to get over, right? We had this nice Darth Maul candle, and we were using the closing basis of this candle. So the true body of this, not the true body, but the closing body of this candle. The true body would be the high and the low. But we were using the open and closing basis of this candle to denote resistance, and that is a strategy that worked for us once, twice. So once, this was one trade. Twice, this was a second trade. 3 times, this was a third trade. So 3 beautiful times we were able to short the upper range of Bitcoin's consolidation phase. Okay, so what's my point? Okay. My point is that you have a dominant force in the market, which is selling, right? Once we broke below the floor at 6,000. We descended into what became our support level, but we didn't know it was going to be support at that point in time. We just know we can see the size of the candle slowing. We see consolidation here on the weekly time frame, and then ascension. This becomes an area when you have a dominant force in the market, and then all of a sudden you get a pretty strong reaction in the opposite direction. This area denotes an area of weakness, right? Although we can see the sellers stepped back in and took control back of the market with these 2 weekly candles through the beginning of December, this still represented an area where interested buyers looked and they said, okay, listen, the bears are kind of weak here, so let's test their mettle, let's test their resolve, right? Because again, you have that same bearish initiation here, right? So you have buyers attempt to push price up, they get punched in the face because sellers just slam price down, and then you have a lot of aggressive retail initiation here continuing on. So you have a lot of sellers that are initiating positions here. And what buyers are going to do, what the market is attempting to do, the market is trying to figure out where is the most liquidity. and we can enter a lot of liquidity, there's several ways that you can tap liquidity. You can tap a lot of stop losses by going above range highs or range lows, or you can shift the market in the opposite direction, right? You can cause, so this is the example that I'm trying to point out. You have a lot of sellers that are positioned in this area right here. How do you know that? Because the candle moves down hard and far on good momentum. So the only thing that can do that is aggressive market selling. So you have position sellers in this entire zone right here, in this 20% zone. But you know that it began here, right? You know that it began here near the open, right? And then this is the beginning of the trading week. There's lots of selling. At some point, sellers pile on and price just moves down and down and down and down and down and down and down, until eventually the sellers are exhausted and there's nothing to really suppress the buyers from pushing price up. Now, where's the first place? This is kind of an unusual example, but again, we're talking with cryptocurrency. So we do see that the buyers push price up all the way immediately just on the next weekly candle, right? Like the sellers got really overextended here. And even on low volume, which is interesting, but good volume from the weekly candle here, pushing price up to retest that zone of contention, right? Where the sellers began initiating their positions. This is often going to be the strongest sellers. Now we can go down to a lower time frame and see, based on the momentum of the shorter intra-week candles, like the daily candles, for example, like exactly where in that weekly candle, in that weekly block, the sellers were the strongest. And so then we can deduce that, okay, actually this zone of the weekly candle. So say that there's like weak selling candles and then like from here to here, like for example, right? So from like, let's say from 4,093 to 3,900, for example, if we go to the daily time frame, we see that the candles are pretty short. And then below like 3,900, we see just a massive daily fuck you candle. Well, we can surmise then that the majority of the selling pressure started below sub 3,900 and it originated at 3,900, making 3,900 a pretty important area if we can close above that. But in this example, we're just going to say that this candle body right here, which is exactly how I traded this range, so the open of this weekly candle was 39.30 and the close was 40.96. So between 39.30 and 40.96, all right, so about almost a $200 range. We're going to establish this, and this is exactly what we did. If you guys, again, have been following the show for a while, we were going to establish this as resistance and look to take short entries in this zone, which worked out fantastically for us for the majority of the year. And then we see price close convincingly above resistance, initiating a shift in market structure. Now, why was what does this mean in relation to liquidity? Okay, because you have a lot of sellers that are positioned in this range right here, in this order block, okay? If you can cause a shift in market structure and push price above their entry level, right? Because they're short, so they're short selling the market, right? So they are established sellers at some price level. And obviously below that price level, they're in profit. Above that price level, they're in loss, they're in drawdown. Now they don't want to be in drawdown. In fact, if they're good traders, they're most likely going to be cutting positions fairly quickly if they are in drawdown past a certain parameter that they've established with themselves. Excuse me. So I just want to point that out because you can tap into liquidity not just by tapping stop losses above or below range highs or range lows, for example. But if you can cause a lot of position sellers to manually or automatically exit their positions based on a shift in market structure, you can get a high momentum movement in the opposite direction, and you can really shift the balance of power from sellers to buyers, which is exactly what happened over here. We see that price opened the weekly candle, closed the weekly candle at resistance, opened the weekly candle above resistance, putting sellers, established sellers, in panic. And they, as price continues to move up, their stop losses are getting triggered. They are manually exiting their positions, and the balance of power shifts to the buyers. Manually shifts to the buyers. So if you can cause a lot of traders to switch positions or close positions, so a lot of open interest dropped out, then you can significantly move the market and shift the balance of power from bearish to bullish or bullish to bearish, vice versa. So just flip everything that I was just saying if you're looking to break support. And I think that it's good to visualize the market moving in this way, okay? I think that it's very helpful if you visualize or think to yourself, like, this is the way that market's moving. It's not about the levels. It's not about the lines. It's not about the support and resistance levels as raw price points. It's about Where is price at in relation to the psychological comfort or discomfort of position sellers or buyers? That's the reality of the market. Because if you actively trade the market, you know what this means. You know that when you are feeling very comfortable or very, well, okay, let me rephrase that. When you're feeling very uncomfortable about the position that you're in, that's often when you do something. It's often something stupid, but it's often when you do something. Most people react, most traders react, most retail traders react. And even professional traders, they do it too. It's not like just because you're a professional trader, you have some, magical capacity. My point is that, just a second. Yeah, I'm good. Most people react the most significantly when they're in significant drawdown or when they're very psychologically uncomfortable in a position. All right, cool. Let's see here. Casey Taylor says, Justin, I've gotten some of the best indicators and strategies from just watching the stream. Thanks, bro. Hey, you're welcome, man. Major higher time frame resistances staring us in the face. This is true. Do I use Deribit futures options? So I haven't traded any Deribit options yet. I think they're good. They're really, really good options as opposed to BitMEX's options. BitMEX's up-down contract is garbage. Deribit's options are quite good. I haven't personally traded any of them. And yes, I am experimenting with trading on Deribit. So I have some small capital on Deribit that I'm actively trading with. Ash Badgers asks if we can look at BCHSV. Does it still look interesting to short since all the bad publicity? Well, I mean, so fundamentally I dislike, and again, we talked about this yesterday. I talked about the danger. I talked about the potential danger of delisting a project based on basically not liking the founder or the creator or the mouthpiece or the spokesman, right? Craig Wright and Calvin Ayre. They're objectively fairly garbage human people from an ethical and moral standpoint. But what does that have to do with the SV project, with the SV chain? Just me, I don't think that they offer anything that Bitcoin doesn't offer. I don't think they will. I don't think that they will benefit the cryptocurrency space in the way that Bitcoin will benefit the cryptocurrency space. Because all Bitcoin Cash Satoshi's vision is essentially the original Bitcoin Cash. I mean, they're just obsessed with raising the block limit. They're just absolutely obsessed with it. I'm not aware of any massive technological innovation that they have introduced into the Bitcoin cryptocurrency itself or into the source code besides raising the block limit, which I don't think is a good thing anyways. But that's a very contentious debate. I do think that Lightning Network is an eloquent solution. I think that sidechains are an eloquent solution. I like the development. I like the direction that the Bitcoin core developers are taking the Bitcoin project in. And if anything, BCH ABC has like some uniquer ideas, such as smart contracts, such as oracles, which was the entire the opcode was check data sig for introducing oracles, and then the whole canonical transaction reordering. There's no data. There's no reliable data or information that's any way better than topological transaction ordering, which is currently how Bitcoin Orders chains. The comments that you're going to read, do some research on the internet if you guys are interested in the kind of the BCH Bitcoin kind of controversy or disagreement, at least on a fundamental level. Like the social aspect is completely different, but based, the technological argument, all I can say is this, like, here's what I know. The best developers went with Bitcoin. That's not, the issue of whether BCH actually has good developers is contentious. But they are out there, and I'm not going to say that what they're doing isn't unique and cool, because I like new technology. And again, they're free to do whatever they want. But overall, what do I think is better? Do I think that introducing what Ethereum has onto Bitcoin is more important than what Bitcoin is able to do and do quite well, which is money, digital cash, digital gold? I don't see how prioritizing putting Ethereum onto Bitcoin should be the primary thing. It screams flash in the pan. We don't really have a good product, so we're going to try adding all this stuff that Ethereum is having trouble with. Pretty interesting information though, or news coming out this morning about Ernst & Young, creating their blockchain project on the open Ethereum blockchain. That's pretty cool. And if you were looking for a fundamental reason for Ethereum's price movement, I would wager that it's that. Looking here on the hourly chart, looks good, man. I mean, you had a nice, you guys know how I feel about patterns, but just when you see price contraction pull back down to a level of support, you have this nice inefficiency in the market that will be tested at some point in time on the hourly. But yeah, you get this nice descending bull flag, and you get a nice hourly breakout. It's worth a trade. It's worth a try. So anyway, sorry. Let me get back to my points on Bitcoin, and then we'll look at some of the fundamental metrics, and then we'll look at some altcoins. So here on the daily chart, my situation hasn't changed. I don't buy in a high volatility. I let the market come to me. Again, I've already discussed my personal setup. So for those of you watching this who aren't in the group and don't have some of the more nuances that we get in the group that I'm able to publish like on a daily basis because I have daily access to them, that's still my setup. Nothing's going to change my setup unless we close the daily above 5,300. I've already talked about that. That would be an invalidation. That means the bears have given up. And just as we saw over here, should price close above 5,300 and we get the sellers to exit their positions and basically bitch out, then we're going to push much higher. We're going to tap 5,700, potentially even 5,800. We're going to land somewhere in this resistance band right here. Again, nothing's changed overall in the long-term view, whether we fail here or whether we fail at 6,000. I've gone over the fundamental reasons why I strongly believe we have to fail at 6,000. Not just altcoins, not just inefficiencies in the market, not just technical reasons, but fundamental reasons as well. I'm happy to go back into those, but I shot about 2 hours worth of that content over the last few days. So if you guys want to go watch some of the pre-records, they're the ones with the cool thumbnails, you guys can go check those out. All right, so let's take a closer look at Ethereum. Ethereum obviously performing very nicely today. So the intraday trade would be to the upside. We do have, and I will talk about this. So we do now have, this is the best that I can come up with for the area that I want to target. This is the USDT pairing. Price moving very nicely right now. I would be a little concerned. So for those of you kind of watching Ethereum, they're like, oh man, I'm going to hop into this. This thing's going to go to the goddamn moon. It could. I don't like the risk to reward right now. I don't like to go long on candles like this because sometimes you will get, if we go back in history, sometimes you will get, a couple candles like this that follow like that. Generally, though, more often than not, you get a candle in the opposite direction. You at least get some opportunity to buy a pullback. So I would, what's the word I'm looking for? Words, brains, things. I would challenge you. To get that element out of your head, to want to buy. Like most people get really, really bullish when we're really close to resistance, and most people get really bearish when we're right at support, right? Altcoins are a really good example. If you look at a lot of altcoins on the weekly chart, they're right at support and they look really good, but everybody is like screaming to panic sell their alts at the bottom. It makes no sense to me. I mean, it does make sense to me. I understand the phenomenon and how it works. Anyway, so here we are on the daily chart of Ethereum. We did get a little bit of hidden bullish divergence right here. We can see that the daily Tenkan held quite nicely. We now have a bullish block or a bull bar because we've broken above it cleanly with no resistance. So just a down candle, our last down candle. Before a shift in market structure, so we've broken cleanly above resistance. So we would be looking at this zone to have limit orders to buy should price return to test this. Again, congruent with a BPC, a break pullback continuation. Most likely, if you're trading this on MEX, you're going to get a more significant wick, so you're going to get the opportunity to get these filled. And you just set your stop loss slightly below. I'm using a standard about 2.5–3% stop right here just for the purposes of demonstration. Of course, you could also use closing below the Kijun. And of course, I don't use hard stops, so I would actually want to see a daily close below the Tenkan-san here or below the block to invalidate the trade. But yeah, that's how I am going to play Ethereum right now. Actually, that's how I'm going to play Ethereum because now we've had a potential shift in market structure, so we'll buy retreats back into our initiation zone to push price up. No different from how I'm looking at Bitcoin right here. I mean, absolutely no different. Sorry, that's the Tether chart. So let's get back over here to MEX. Again, we had a lot of bearish and we had a lot of selling initiation right here. And I'm going to look at returns to that initiation zone to get back in the original direction that pushed the market down in the first place. Should that level be closed above, then it's invalidated. And I will look for retreats back into that zone to be going long. It's that simple. Similarly over here, if we look at the Ethereum, now we're going to have to look at this on MEX, but we'll do the translation here in a little bit. If we look at the translation over here, sorry, this is not the translation. This is the USDT pairing still. Should we break down below this bar, then was this an asset that we could short sell? We would be looking for any and all retracements back into the zone to initiate short sells. And you just wait until a trade comes to you. So let's assume that price retraces back into our block, reclaims it, and kicks off. That would be great. I actually wouldn't be targeting that high on my initial TP. I would want to be looking at this zone right here. We have somewhat equal highs. I wanted to go down to the lower time frames and actually look at those equal highs. Yeah, we got some fairly equidistant highs right there. So that means there's liquidity right there. It's not the best. If I saw, just like this zone right here, there was liquidity above. So where did price go? Price tapped liquidity and distributed, and then crashed. So yeah, quite similarly here. So we can see the divergence. We have a lower candle, tap above before I move down. We have, in this case, it's flipped because we have a higher candle, we have a lower candle. So this is an SFP, a swing failure pattern, right? So we have this low, we're in a consolidation pattern. We look to make a higher high on high volatility. We fail, and right there was your short signal for an SFP. When you actually close below or trade below if you're wanting to enter in on high volatility. But I'm always waiting for the close. So this candle right here, you can see where the hourly does close right here. So that's a swing failure pattern because we make a swing high, a lower swing high, and then we end up closing below the support that was generated off of that initial swing high. So that level is right here. You can see we close below, and then even more beautifully, if you guys can see this, even more beautifully for this, boom, let's put a ray right there. And that's going to be resistance. Even more beautifully than that, we have this low, price consolidates, goes to form another high or test liquidity, right? Forms a lower swing low, and then right here closes below the low that was formed off that swing high. So here's our swing low off of that swing high, closes below, back tests and rejects. So here or here would be where you would want to enter into a short trade traditionally, right? Now we can see that short trade would have set us up for a potential 7.32% profit. And here on the hour, now again, this is USDT, so you're obviously going to have to translate this over to your shorting platform of choice, but you get multiple exit signals right here. So you get buy signals right here telling you to get out or potentially take profit. Price doesn't retreat to your entry zone, so you're good on this, and then boom, you get this nice buy candle again on the hourly, so you're taking profit. You're probably mostly out of the trade at that point, maybe at least 50% out. And then what happens? You make 50% on your profit, or right here, close above and initiation. So pretty good. This is also another one of those shifts in market structure, right? Where price has, was facing resistance right here. We've broken cleanly above. BPC, break, pullback, continuation trade. So is the intraday movement to the upside there? Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. I'd like to see a more sustained pullback into this zone right here, this daily block, to be able to catch a more attractive price. And if I don't, that's okay. So, looking at the longer term time frames for Ethereum. What do we got right here? We do have time transformation flirting with the 0 line, but this is an area where we need to be cautious. Why? Because we have the potential to get a continuation cross to the downside. So if price fails this swing movement, right? So sorry, let's delete that. If price fails this swing movement, right, which would be what we could potentially be seeing is an SFP, right, where we have formed a swing high on the daily time frame, right? We formed a swing low off of that movement. If price forms a lower high and then trades below the support that was formed on that swing movement, and that's a swing failure pattern or an SFP, that's a pretty bearish example. And you can see in this form of technical analysis, so I've talked about two methods, breakers or order blocks and swing failure patterns. And you can see how they line up beautifully, right? You have this breaker, which is denoted by the last down candle after a shift in market structure with the initiation of buying, right? So you have position buy. This is, and again, going back to what I said about Bitcoin in the first place, right? This is price action analysis, okay? This is psychology, examining and studying the psychology of position traders. How are they likely to act? How are they likely to respond? So we have a lot of position sellers right here. There was aggressive initiation of selling into the market. Price returns to their zone of initiation and invalidates them, right? So what is this? This is traders exiting their positions to the downside. Of course, I'm looking on USDT, but I just want you guys to understand, right? So the analogy for a spot price where you can't go long or short would be people buying back into the market after they sold. Like price goes higher than they sold, and they're like, oh shit, I should have bought. I'm going to buy back. But the zone is the same, right? Whether we're analyzing the psychology of the traders who initiated these positions or whether we're just looking at the price action technicals right here. And we can see as well that they line up very well with technical indicators. So whatever strategy that you want to build, make sure that it comports to some of these rules, because I've just showed you 3 different ways of looking at the market, and they give you the same results. They give you the same results, and they're both tradable, right? So what we're looking for to trade the SFP, what are you looking for? You're looking for a daily close below 160. You're looking for a daily close below 160 because you want to invalidate the swing low that was taken or that was formed after the swing high. Also, naturally, as a prerequisite, you obviously need to see a lower high form right here. So you need to see a lower high form than, I'd say, 185 to 186. You need to see a lower swing high. And then you would either aggressively enter into a short, or you would wait for the BPC to initiate your short position right there. So you'd wait for the retest. Your Kijun and your Tenkan here on the daily Ichimoku give you some good hints and guidance as well. So you'd be looking for, in this case, congruent with the close below this would also be congruent with the daily close below the Kijun, or excuse me, the daily Tenkan right here. So you would expect the Kijun to act as support on closing basis at least, and then a pullback to test the Tenkan or the block or the SFP support as resistance before continuing further down. And you have a pretty good target here with the daily Ichimoku cloud. You also obviously have this block right here, or horizontal support, or excuse me, horizontal resistance that turned into support after the breakout that hasn't actually been back tested. It hasn't been actually been back tested. This level right here around 144 hasn't really been back tested. You can see that it acted as resistance here, it acted as resistance here, it acted as resistance here. We break out on a market inefficiency, so a massive candle like that. This would be a zone that price, in my experience, does like to come back and test. This inefficiency in the market right here. Price wants to make sure that, similarly to what we just talked about up here, price wants to make sure, price wants to reality check the buyers who position themselves at this price level. Like, hey, are you guys going to defend your positions? Because if not, we're going to run train on you. All right. All right, it is 12:59. I need to get some coffee. Boom. I'm going to take a quick 2-minute break, guys. When I return, we're going to look at altcoins. We're going to talk about altcoin strategy. We're going to talk about altcoin sneezing. It's going to be awesome, man. While you're waiting for me to return, if you would kindly go over to topg.crackingcryptocurrency.com. Let me type this out. topg.crackingcryptocurrency.com. I would highly appreciate that. If you guys would give us an upvote on there. It doesn't cost you a thing. You just click this button right here that says vote for us. Whoops. I'll drop that link in the chat. There you guys go. Give us an upvote. We highly appreciate that. It's a Discord server ranking. You don't have to sign up, create an account or anything like that. We appreciate the support, guys. Also, while you're waiting, think about what comment you want to leave, or if you have any questions or requests or anything you'd like us to look at. I probably have my docket pretty full today, but again, if you leave a pretty cool comment, I will definitely try to look at your chart in the next video. So with that being said, don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Hey, what's going on, guys? We're back. Much appreciation to anybody who went over to topg.krakencryptocurrency.com and gave us an upvote. Highly appreciated. Thank you very much. Okay. Somebody wanted a Lambo, sold about $1 million worth. $1.4 million to the sell side on waves actually caused that crash. Here's the candle. There it is right there. Waves actually traded at 10 sats. Now, this wasn't done through the Binance exchange because you can't bid that low. This was done via API. Meaning that somebody did buy at 10 sats. Somebody bought waves at 10 sats and immediately made, this is going to be a little bit off. Yep, right there. 10 sats and immediately would have made, I mean, a ridiculous number. A ridiculous ROI on that buy. 506,000. 505,000%. Redunculous. So we wanted to talk about, okay, so how can you take advantage of this? How could you position yourself so that you could catch these potentially, right? Because that's life-changing right there. I mean, selling them becomes an issue if, you know, depending on how large your order was, because you're going to be buying so many waves at such a cheap price. But I digress. So one thing that you can do is you can take a portion of your portfolio and you can go to interested coins that, you know, obviously coins that you think are attractive or unattractive, it doesn't really matter. And what you can do is, so let's go to the daily. Yeah, boom. And just set Hail Mary bids, right? Set Hail Mary bids, you know, on this, I'd be looking at, if price is right here, I'd be setting a Hail Mary bid like right here, maybe one right here, maybe one at the bottom of this candle right here, because you never know when these flash crashes are going to happen. So these flash crashes recently happened like relatively on Ethereum and Arter. And how would you trade this moving forward? I really wouldn't want to do anything with waves. There's been a significant turnover. And if we're looking at waves right here, we can see my original setup for waves. We are in this buy zone right here. And in retrospect, this would have been a better buy zone if I were to redraw this and taken this breaker into account right here. So this is the last down candle before a shift in market structure. So we want to test the mettle of individuals that initiated their buying in this zone down here. So just extrapolating this from here down to here. I'll wait for this to fail though. But you can see the current setup that I had. And if you would have been buying in this entry zone, you'd still be fine. You'd still be fine. Like that happened over the course of 1 minute. So, you know, obviously if you had a hard stop loss place, you would be bad news bears. But typically, again, I do not like to trade with hard stops due to stuff like that. But that's not fair. That's not fair to say. It's not because of stuff like that. It's because of the inherent volatility in cryptocurrency. Not because I'm predicting a flash crash or not having a hard stop is my defense mechanism against a flash crash. That's not. So, by the way, this is going to do bad things to the ATR. So if you're using the ATR like you should to position size appropriately and to set initial take profit targets, you're not going to be able to use the ATR for a couple of weeks, depending on what your look back period is. So default 14-15. You're going to have to wait 14 bars until this is in your rear view mirror, until it's not being calculated by ATR. Because average true range is calculating the difference between the high and the low price, not just the closing price. This isn't going to throw most technical indicators off. The reason why is because most technical indicators are based off of closing price, like, for example, time transformation. So time transformation is interesting in that we are actually putting in a lower low, but a higher low on the oscillator, and also flashing 2 buy signals here on the daily chart. And again, we're in that initial buy zone that I had charted out. So interesting point for waves. What I'd really like to see for confirmation of this trade to go to the upside, just from a TA perspective, is a break, pullback continuation. Nothing different there. Or should this fail, then I would be looking, I'm not holding any waves right now. But I would be looking at this block right here, and that potentially might be the better setup. So I'm actually going to do that right here. Excuse me. Okay, so something like that. And where do we have liquidity? Right here. We have these equal highs equals liquidity. Good. Something like that. Something like that. Looks good. Otherwise, I need to see at least a resistance get taken out. I need to see a resistance get taken out. I think that is a better entry zone right there. That's more congruent with price action analysis. So you can see that had we had that drawn before, and had you had your limit bid set there, because I guess another common question I get is, well, how do you get that average entry? Well, you got to stack bids in this zone, right? Here, here, here. I do 3. Some people do 4. I used to do 4. Now I just do 3. You can also use. I've demonstrated the you can also utilize average true range, as I've shown you before, in establishing a low or a support level for establishing a buy zone. But using a block like this is pretty good as well. Okay, so to the requests. Right. Yeah. Turd Ferguson. Yep. You pointed out the problem with this order. Your capital is not working for you while it sits in a stank bid. You're absolutely right. So that is the drawdown of this method. So this isn't really something that I do. There are a few coins that I have like low Hail Mary bids on. but it's not that much capital. And it's something that you want to readjust all the time, right? It's something that you want to readjust all the time. So like say for example, like price was up here. And you were like, well, I'm gonna set a Hail Mary bid right here, right? As price, so we can see right here, like this BPC, you know, price breaks support, pulls back, rejects, and then continues down. You wouldn't want to leave this order in the order book. Why? Because this isn't, you want to catch a wick. You want to have those orders in there for the purposes of catching a wick and being a smart Sally. You don't want to just be, you don't just want to you don't want to have your limit orders or your stank bids as they're referred to. You don't want them stacked up, and you don't want to be averaging down into waves throughout this whole period. That's not the strategy that I use for buying altcoins, anyways. So we'll see. We'll keep waves on our watch list right here, and we'll see what happens over the next few days with waves. Again, I mean, this was great if you're able to take advantage of it, but for the 99.99% of us who didn't, I would, you know, just classically, I want to see it break a level of resistance before I get bullish. I mean, you've been going down so long, like price could just continue to go down. So I want to see it put in some bullishness and actually break a resistance and form a higher low. Okay, ZERP. My favorite coin right now. So I want to see how the daily closes, because ZERP is looking pretty good. So let's actually, instead of looking at XRPM19, because I mean, just look at these big fuck you wicks. Let's look at ZERP Bitcoin and get an idea of where ZERP Bitcoin's gonna go. And I talked about this yesterday. So here's the weekly time frame on ZERP. And when price was up here, I believe, I don't want to defame anybody, but there were some people on here who are like, hey man, like, how come you're bearish on Ripple? How come you're bearish on ZERP? Why aren't you bullish on ZERP? I mean, look, it's going to the goddamn moon. I wasn't very bullish on ZERP, and I've cleaned up the chart. I actually have cleaned up the chart. There were more lines on it yesterday, so it's not as impressive as it was yesterday, but you guys can go back and watch yesterday's video and see the edits that I've made. But anyways, I had this line on the chart and I had a support line here. And I said, you know, I'm really looking to do my cheeky buying down here. And lo and behold, price got down there. So a couple things to think about with ZERP. Okay, so we do have this block, right? So that we do have this block, right? So we have the exact same thing with Bitcoin, right? We have an aggressive movement to the downside, and we put in a bullish candle right here. We actually get a time transformation buy signal right there, which in retrospect would not have been a terrible place to enter, but you know, for a month and a half, you've been in drawdown. So that was a loss if you were just trading blindly off the buy signal with no confluence. But I mean, you also get indications to exit because you get this continuation cross right here to the downside right here. So you're below your oversold level, and price comes up and rejects again from your oversold level, and then you get regular bullish divergence on this candle right here. So it more than made up for it. It more than made up for it. But anyways, we were flashing the weekly buy. Maybe it's the we put in a daily buy. Yeah, it's just a daily buy. So we haven't flashed a weekly buy yet. So the weekly has yet to turn. We are at support. We're at previous resistance, turned support. So we're looking for a double bottom test of support. We're trading inside that block. We have this macro trend line that is supporting price. But we also have this descending trend line. So what ZERP's been doing basically since December is trending down strongly, trending down very strongly. And then it puts in these like random pumps to resistance and then continues down. So it would be nice to see a random pump to resistance and then either continuing down or breaking through resistance and heading to the upside. I feel it's a good level to do it. If we don't hold the support line right here, I'm going to be waiting for bullish reaction, and I'm going to have a limit order down around 52, 5280, 5300. Because that's the bottom of this block. That's the bottom of this block. So I'm just going to be looking to catch a wick down to the bottom of the block. And yeah, we'll see what we get out of ZERP here, man. Looks good. I mean, the chart looks quite good for a potential reversal buy right here. So we'll see what we get. But at the very least, it'd be nice if we could get that random pump back to resistance and then continuation. So if we reject from resistance, then I'll most likely re-short ZERP. But if we break resistance, then I'll probably scale more into a long. So yeah, ZERP's actually kind of like of everything that I'm watching is kind of what I'm watching pretty closely right here. Let's go to the 3-day. 3-day as well. 3-day seems to be forming a bit of a local bottom. Daily as well. We've come down. We've bottomed off support quite nicely. We pushed up with a daily buy signal. We are currently putting in a little bit of rejection from tapping the high of yesterday's high. So we'll see what we get. This will be invalidated, obviously, if we trade down below. I'm okay with a retracement right here. I'm okay with price pulling back a little bit. But I don't want to be going any lower on closing basis below support. Then I won't be looking at ZERP with any interest until we get down here. So you can translate this over to XRPM19 if you want. It's worth the buy. I think it's worth the buy at this point in time. So on the daily, this is the daily chart for ZERP M19. And again, I would pay much more attention to the ZERP Bitcoin chart, but we have this long-term descending trend line. We break it. We break it right here, break it sideways, pull back, find support, break above the local trend line, pull back. I'd like to see it hold as support. Or you can wait until price is above something like 68.50. Till we're closing dailies above 68.50. All right. There's ZERP. ZERP USDT. Same thing. But ZERP USDT looks much different. So let's go to the weekly on ZERP USDT. And this trend line's on the daily, but it's not too bad on the weekly. This is the Tether pump. So yeah, I mean, it's just consolidating, man. You've got support, you've got a macro support line, you've got a macro resistance line right here. You guys know how I feel about chart patterns, but the time transformation is trending above zero quite nicely. We did get the weekly turn, but we are still above zero, and Wadatar is confirming long trades right now. It looks pretty good, man. We found a local bottom. We're rejecting for resistance. We're looking for that breakout trade. Something like that. But like I said, I mean, it's worth the buy, dude. It's worth the buy for ZERP right now. I mean, look where we're at. We're right at support. You don't get much better times to buy than unless you can catch one of those, unless you can catch a nice wick to the downside. Again, yeah, if ZERP, does a BPC, then ZERP sucks, man. But it's worth the buy right now. Litecoin. Let's see here. Let's see here. 2 weekly sells. We're at resistance. Putting in some bullish wicking, so it's getting bought back up. I mean, look, man, like everybody gets really, really bullish at resistance and everybody gets really bearish at support. So, I mean, you can just see, like, when was the time to buy Litecoin? Here. When is the time to sell Litecoin? Probably here. I'm not really looking for longs on Litecoin, man. We need to do a BPC of resistance. We need to do that. Otherwise, I think the risk to reward is the trade to the downside. Now, you can make the argument that we've back tested and tested weekly support right here, weekly resistance, as well as the weekly key June. Looks pretty good. But based on where we're at in the market, this area right here acted as firm resistance right here. And I mean, you can just see the structure is quite similar as well. See what we have right here? See what we have right here? Looks very, very similar. So history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. And then again, where was our initiation to take this thing higher? Again, Litecoin only ever went this. Litecoin only ever, how much higher did it go? Like 50% higher? And you've already pulled, 160% out of this market. Things do need to take a breather sometime, man. I'm not saying the Litecoin's dead, but I am saying that historically, we've only broken above this level once. And that was right here. And it was kind of difficult to break above it because, again, you got this big fuck you wick. Price consolidated for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months, almost 2 months right here, and put in big take it wicks right here. I mean, big downside wicks. And then after all that chaos and insanity, then boop, then it popped up 50%. And then came right back down, consolidated, and broke down. Accumulated, popped back up. It's pretty hard to break above resistance like that, man. You know, so if I were to genuinely draw the weekly block, it would be all the way down to here, but I'm just doing the SR flip block. I'm just using distribution, accumulation, or reaccumulation, distribution. So that's the zone right there. So I'm not really interested in longing Litecoin at the top of the market, or the local top at least. Yeah, this still looks like a strong sell. Well, this will change if we do that nice BPC, but again, look at the last time that we got up here with Litecoin. Like, look what the fuck happened, dude. Like, I'm sorry for my French. Feeling pretty raw today. It wasn't actually a good thing for holders, man. It wasn't actually a good thing for holders. Like, this right here is not a happy, easy time for trading. You go up, you go down. Darth Maul candle. You go, oh, we're going to the moon. Bah, crash. Up. Oh, wait, we hold support. Up, crash. Now, what has been nice for Litecoin is this. Do. Beautiful, man. You got to take profit at some time, man. And I know that I could look at something besides Binance and get a little bit more historical data, but this is the highest liquidity exchange out there for trading Litecoin, so works for me. This is what everybody else is looking at. Oh Lord, in the darkness, lead me on my way. Oh Lord, in the darkness, lead me on my way home. All right. Weekly chart, USDT. Let's look at LTC USD on Coinbase. Do we have a little bit more historical data? Yeah, we have more historical data. Cool. I'm gonna need to chart this one out. But we'll just focus on what's relevant right now. All right, so distribution zone right here. And what was the last? This is the last up candle. Well as this one. So you've got this one. All right, that's a weekly block. And okay, about fair. This is where price failed before. And boom. So yeah, look where we're at. I mean, we're right at weekly resistance. Same here on LTC USD Coinbase. Weekly sell signal from time transformation. We've only gotten 2 of those before during a strong uptrend, so those didn't work out too well. But you would have been trading against the market at that point in time, so whatever. And you got good signals to get back in. I mean, basically once right here, yeah, once price stays above the 0 line, let's say that you had taken profit there and there, which is still pretty good. Like, this is, let's look at the logarithmic chart. Okay, cool. So on the logarithmic chart, those actually look like better buys, especially because your buy signal was right here on this candle for LTC USD. And, oh, wait, are you saying that this told us to only take 690% profit? Come on, man. What a shitty indicator. Wait, it only told us to take 953% profit? Dude, I mean, that indicator didn't catch the top of the market. It sucks. Anyways, perspective. Anyways, so then you get a nice continuation cross right here, and you're back in the market. And you might exit here. You might have taken an L there, but then you get hidden bullish divergence right here on this candle, and you're right back in. And you're out on this candle? No, this candle. Yep, you're out on this candle. So not bad. Back in the market here and out here. So another 240%. I mean, I don't know who could have traded the market a little bit better than that. It's pretty damn good. So anyways, but we are not in a confirmed, so we're in an uptrend, yes, but we're also at resistance. So you have to understand, this is all fresh, like virgin information. So we didn't know we were at resistance, right? We didn't know we were at resistance. But we know we're at resistance now. So again, that's just something that we have to contend with. So similarly on the Binance chart, I would want to see something like this. Okay, sorry that didn't show that BPC very well, but I want to see this break, pullback, continuation. Otherwise, I'm out. I'm out, man. Look at that. I mean, look at that candle right there, dude. That is a 52% weekly candle, bringing us into the resistance zone. Like, what more do you expect? What more have you not learned to see what late stage buying looks like? I mean, you're in an uptrend that has been going on since the 17th of December. So you're in a 4-month long uptrend. And then at the as you near resistance, what do you get? Again, I always said people get the most bullish at resistance and the most bearish at support. Okay, so on the 1st of April, after a almost a 4-month uptrend, you get a 52% candle. Are you serious? At what point do you say this is a good place to take profit? This is a good place to take profit. People are talking about how Litecoin is leading the market, and you have to understand that since I firmly believe that Bitcoin will reject initially from 6K on its first test of that zone, if Litecoin is leading the market, doesn't it make sense that Litecoin would reject from resistance as well? Seems logical to me. All right, so weekly time frame looks pretty bearish. 3-day time frame. We just need to see, man. We just need to see. If Litecoin breaks above, okay, cool. We can take it higher, especially if we get a BPC out of it. But right now, I would like to see, or what I expect to see, I shouldn't say I expect. I don't really expect anything except for the price to move up and down while it moves to the right. But I would put a higher probability that we fail this, that we do form an SFP, right? So SFP, swing high, swing low. Swing high, swing low, lower high, close below this level right here. I mean, I don't think Litecoin, it might, I don't know. I have no opinion on how far down Litecoin goes. We can look at targets later for the downside. But that's all I'm waiting on doing. You're waiting for confirmation for the market to tell you what's going to happen. Okay. Because let's look at all the let's look at every other time Litecoin broke out. Okay, shall we? All right, so breakout number 1. Here we go. Resistance. Okay, resistance. Solid break above. Pullback. Continuation. Now you tell me, where was the best place to enter into the market? Here. Where was the best place to enter? Here, right, or here? Okay, what was a better place? What was a better place to have a stop loss? Where was a better place to manage risk? And what was a more comfortable entry where you're going to set limit orders in this zone, right? So you got this block, okay? Got this block right here. There's your block, okay? It's a last up candle before a shift in market structure. It gets closed above cleanly with little resistance, and you're looking for pullbacks to go long. Okay. So BPC, great. All right, breakout number. I'm ignoring these, but hopefully you understand what I'm doing here. All right, let's look at this breakout. Okay, here's breakout number 2. Okay. Now on this one, the order block would not have worked as well. In fact, it wouldn't have worked at all because you would have missed it, but that's not my point. So your thesis is something like this. Here's your block, okay? Your block. Here's resistance. All right, here's 3-day resistance, right? You close above. You close above. Pull back. Continuation. Okay. So again, where was the better place to enter the market? Right here. Shit, we're going to the moon. We just broke resistance. Wait for confirmation. And then go to the moon. Okay. So what do we expect to see here, guys? Resistance. Okay. Yeah. Here's failure. Here's failure right here. But here's your block. Here's your block. Okay. So what we would like to see is breakout, pullback, continuation. Okay. And until that happens, you don't have to take a position. You could just patiently wait and let the trade come to you. Stay off the lower time frames. Okay. Litecoin in the bag. VeChain. Before we look at some other alts, let's look at some fundamentals. So let's look at the total crypto market cap. Okay. So what is the total crypto market cap potentially setting itself up for? Swing failure pattern. High, swing low, lower high, trade below, rejection. Okay. We talked about this zone right here. Inefficiency in the market. Let's go to the daily. There we go. Oh, and by the way, I never said BBC, dude. Somebody said run train and BBC in the same sentence. Looks like my search history. I never said BBC. Steve C. I think that's the discussion we just had, my good friend. Mr. Ether says USA on Deribit. It's with an I, sir. But yes. Dolka1212. Hey, what's going on, man? I see you in Twitch. Thank you so much for watching on Twitch, my good friend. Can we talk about Cardano? Yeah, we'll talk about Cardano. Thank you, Dolka. Highly appreciate it, man. Sorry, I'm a little bit behind in the chat, man. Love to get that. I love to get that interaction on Twitch, man. That was a while ago. Hopefully, you're still around. Zero Cool 721 says, "But bro, what about cup and handle?" Oh shoot. K7 Jixer, what's going on, man? Ash Badger, it's all good. Is BCHSV still a good short considering all the bad publicity recently? You know, I have to look at the chart, man. Like, fundamentally, I want to say yes. Like, that's what common logic would say. Like, oh, man, everybody hates BCHSV. It's going so low. But, I mean, typically, that's when you want to buy, actually, in the market. Is, like, after all the... is where you want to have limit orders down there. Because, you know, everybody is, like, charged in and said, oh, fuck Craig Wright. Which is valid to say, right? Just go check out my video if you guys want to know my sentiment about Craig Wright. But... you know what? This is not... oh, shit. I need to redraw this. I'm looking at this and I see that this isn't quite correct for my block. So anyways, total crypto market cap, what's going on? Same thing. We have a swing high, we have a swing low. Yeah, we have a swing high, we have a swing low. We're looking to see a confirmed breakout to continue taking the market higher, or we make a higher low or a lower high and we fail and we go back down to a significant level of support. Okay, that's a big chunk that we could take out of the market cap, guys. So just be careful, man. Make sure you're locking in profits. Like, why would you not take this opportunity Because listen, this is what the market's doing right now. It's just plain as day, right? Like we topped out, right? A lot of people, once we hit this area of the market cap of these prices across the board, pretty much said, "I'm out, peace. I'm gonna wait." Right? I mean, because you're talking about people that are up, like hundreds of percents on some coins, that were in fantastic profitable positions. Anybody that accumulated at the bottom in December, right? Anybody that accumulated around there, these people have to take profits at sometimes, and that moves the market. And the only thing that's going to determine, is the market going to continue to move higher, or are we going to fall into a bearish slump that might turn into an extension of the bear market? Is on the retest, can we break through? Do we have enough new buyers coming in to absorb the coins that sellers are selling, right? And continue to buy more than they're selling going on. So is there more distribution of tokens, or is there more accumulation of tokens or coins or whatever? So anyways, we have this better block right here, as we can see. So what is the body of the last up candle before the shift in market structure? It's this candle right here on the 7th of April, looking for the test of that zone, looking to see if Bitcoin fails that area. And if it doesn't, if we get that nice breakthrough, we're still looking for the same thing. And this is just more of a leading indicator to see what the market in general is doing, but very, very good, because this is going to give you a good signal of what the market's doing. So if you want to know basically, like, should I buy or should I sell anything? Look at the total market cap. And for that BPC, right? And if we see that, I mean, you're not looking to short sell anything really. You're looking to be long on pretty much the entire market. Obviously, you're going to have your differences, because look at what the total market cap has been doing, and look at the price of ZERP, for example. But I digress. Okay. Let's look at the altcoin market cap. This always takes a second to load. Here we go. Okay. So I don't need to redraw anything on this, because I don't actually have a block. This is just resistance. This is just based off resistance off an SR flip. It's not really a block. It's just resistance. And I've also denoted the most likely fail area. Like if we were to form a higher low, it'd be in this zone right here, right? And you have the true closing body of this candle. This is a block, actually. This is a block, although you could make the argument that this is the more accurate block. So this is the same error that I corrected over here. One thing that I do want you to be aware of this strategy is that I've seen there's not like a tutorial on how to trade blocks or how to identify blocks or breakers. Like everybody does them slightly differently. So don't come at me with bruh, I just read on some forum, man, that the bullish breakers and bull bars and bear bars are like this, and the third. That's great if it works for them. I know what I'm doing. It works for me. And this isn't the only way I trade. This is just to identify this is just to identify visually that psychology of traders, of position buyers and sellers, that I spent a long time talking about at the beginning when we were talking about Bitcoin breakouts and everything. True. It's just an easy way to identify what are critical levels on the chart and what are areas that are hotspots that I should pay attention to, where action is likely to occur, so that I can set limit orders. Obviously, I can't set a limit order on the total 2 market cap. Eventually, one day you will, because eventually there's tradable indexes where you can just trade the index of the market cap of an entire asset class or sector, right? So you're probably going to see further division as we move forward. You're going to see different derivatives of price that you're going to be able to trade, right? So you're going to be able to invest in a basket of, you're going to have security coins, you're going to have, platforms, you're going to have dApps, you're going to have indexes for these different sectors of cryptocurrency. And if you are a retail investor, you typically want to have a good basket of your stuff in indexes. Why? Because you want to at least, perform with the market. So the indexes are going to perform with the market. And it does take patience, skill, and discipline to beat the market, to beat the average return of the market. So we'll look at the total market cap on the 22nd of May, 2017. Whoa. Cardano. Boom. Yeah, kinda. But you also have to recall that this weekly candle isn't closed. And so, although it might end up closing like this, it also might end up closing like this. Because at one point, this weekly candle looked like, this, right? Looked like this. And it has the potential to close lower and change its structure. So yeah, good fractal though, man. And again, like, let's go back to that point in time, right? Let's say that you were ignoring this. What do you get? You get that breakout, pullback, continuation, right? So what's the good R, man? I'm just trying to walk you guys through the psychology of how I look at this. Like, what's safer? What's like to get really, 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 really bullish at resistance? Like, we're for sure going to break out. Or is the safer bet to bank some profit, update your stop losses, look at the market, take some patience, smoke some hash, whatever you want to do, and wait for confirmation of continuation? Because it's not like if we're going to really enter into a truly bullish trend, then look at the last one that we entered, right? Look at the last one that we entered in. You get plenty of time, man. You get plenty of time to buy into the uptrend. It's not going to be like, oh, I missed it forever, right? Plenty of time to wait for confirmation, man. Tether dominance. Come on. All right, here's the market capitalization dominance of Tether. Looking here on the weekly chart, we see that we had a nice little brief upsurge. Looks like a bearish weekly formation currently. We can't really do a full analysis because the weekly isn't closed, but I digress. Looking like an inverted hammer on the weekly chart. So a pretty dramatic drop off in Tether dominance as everything was really pumping here the first week of April, pretty much giving it all back to the market over the following week. Hamilton Ulisa, thanks so much for the sub on YouTube. Appreciate you. And now putting in a little bit of a bearish reversal candle right here. What we're looking for, though, is that same thing, BPC. We didn't really break above a level of resistance, but you could consider this resistance. This is the bearish initiation zone. So we're looking at this as a leading indicator to tell us our alt's going to continue to pump. We can use this in confluence with the total crypto market cap as well. We're looking for alts to pump and hold this level. Excuse me. Let me take that back. We're looking for Tether dominance to hold this level and continue going higher. And if it does, I would say that alts are bearish because people are selling cryptocurrency for Tether. They're cashing out, as they should, nearing resistance. But should this fail and we close below, then that's good, especially if total market cap breaks up too. Then that's pretty goddamn bullish for the entire sector. So. Else on Twitch asked for. Oh, LTC. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying, man. Zero, cool. I got you, man. Let's look at B Flow. Welcome to the family, man. Thanks for the sub on YouTube. Let's go check out that Cardano real quick. Well, I haven't looked at this chart in a while. Cardano worked out pretty well. Rounding out on the weekly, doesn't look good, man. Look for, let's see here. Got a block. like this. For now. Yeah. Doesn't look good right now. No. Weekly time transformation is about to give the cross under. Not an overbought territory yet, but we'll see. What is waning on the weekly? Where did you reject from? Resistance. Yeah, so we need to bottom. We need to put in some bottoming behavior and reaccumulate. Or we need to do a BPC. Not an interested buyer. Only an interested seller of Cardano. Five. Yeah. Bang. Do it. There we go. Thank you, BitMax. All right. Let's see here. Crypto Kitty, hey, what's going on? What are my thoughts on Pundi X? I really like Pundi X. They just released hundreds of millions of tethers again. Wonder how that affects the chart. So it's not the market capitalization of Tether that we're measuring there, although I guarantee that does have an effect on the market capitalization. But that's all going to get factored into the chart when that Tether gets to where it needs to go, right? So if that Tether is being printed to pump up the price of Bitcoin, then that Tether is going to flow into Bitcoin and it's going to reduce the dominance of Tether, because that's just measuring how much money is in Tether related to the total crypto market cap. So if it stays in Tether, that's bearish for coins. If it goes into coins, then its dominance decreases. That's bullish because there's more buying and selling. Yeah, so Cardano doesn't look good, man. We'll revisit Cardano down here, or unless we bottom somewhere, which means we do something like this. Time is money, money's time. Okay. Let's look at myth because everybody is talking about myth. Yay! Right up into my sell zone. Weekly buy signal right here. And foiling above the 0 line right there, although none of that's indicative of what's going on. Katie15, hey, thanks so much for the follow on Twitch. All right, so this is an older chart, so let's get rid of all that. I traded Mithril when it first launched on Binance. We waited for it to bottom. We took a trade. So I haven't traded Mithril since back here. This doesn't look overly impressive. I mean, yeah, it's a great pump, 62% candle. But, I mean, yeah, dude, sell. The fuck makes you think this is going to continue to go, right? It just pumped 62%. Sell, man. Let's see here. Let's see if we can establish a good block before a shift in structure. This is a pretty good one. So here you have market equilibrium. Market equilibrium right here. I mean, really nothing up here. Absolutely nothing. Maybe here. Yeah, maybe this one right here. Okay. Yeah. Support, turn resistance. There's really no other level on a chart. This is just nonsense. There's nothing TA about this. There's no targets here. This is just accumulation. And until proven otherwise, it's a pump and dump, man. Like, why the hell would you buy up here? That doesn't make any sense to me. Nice double bottom bounce, but that had nothing to, I mean, maybe it had something to do. But I mean, yeah, people get the most bearish at support and people get the most bullish at resistance. Just work on flipping that around in your mind. Okay, so where could we become interested buyers? Okay, where could we become interested buyers logically? Here. Around 1100 to 1200 sats would make sense. Yeah. Yep. And here. Something like that. Yep. Or this is a bullish breaker right now. Or break, pull back, continuation. Okay. Let's see if this is gonna have continuation on lower time frames. Consolidating. So not dumping. That's not too bad actually. I don't know the lower time frames. There might be an intraday trade to the upside here. Typically when you see consolidation after a big pump and it just moves sideways like that, you typically get some follow through. And for the swing trade, doesn't look great. The swing trade needs the setup. So there might be a crunch here, man, but I mean, just looking at this, I'm like, why would you? Don't go chasing big candles. Just go set a limit order and hang with your girlfriend. For real, guys. For success. We can move that up now a little bit. Kind of like being OCD about it, but it doesn't matter. This is just a template, just a potential setup. Might be able to see one live in action here, though, if this fails. Swing high, swing low, lower high. Support generated by that swing low off the swing high. Break below. Pull back. Okay. At least to down here, because this is right here. So that would be a bearish breaker. Yep, we'll see. So yeah, we'll look at this baby tomorrow. But if you want to be safe, I'd set some limit orders down here, and we'll see how this thing does. Because, I mean, guys, come on, we've been trading this cryptocurrency thing for a while. What generally follows, what generally happens after something like this? Come on, man. It usually happens. All right. Are you going to fail there, Ethereum, or what? What's that got to do with the price of tea and Bitcoin? I like it. Same exact thing, man. High, low, lower high, potentially. Support. Oh, God, it's 2 o'clock. I got to go. Oh, my God. I got stuff to work on. All right, guys. So, yeah, that's what we got. Let's head over here. All right, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope this video was educational. I hope that I have helped crack some cryptocurrency for you, showed you some profitable trade setups, some strategies, looking at price action analysis. We didn't focus a lot on technical indicators, although we did use them and look at them for confluence. So I just wanted to give you guys kind of a demonstration of how I look at price action and how I've learned to trade it. Again, when we talk about blocks, books, or bars, breakers, things of that nature, there's no educational guide out there as far as I'm aware. I had to learn this stuff on my own because everybody that I've ever talked to about it does it completely different. So if you see something conflicting or contrasting, like just keep in mind that when you're talking about price action, you're entering into the realm of subjectivity. And I do caution beginner traders about worshiping at the altar of price action. It's generally far better for you to build a strategy based off technical indicators that will be your base if this then that strategy. Now you can build an if this then that strategy around price action. You can build an if this then that strategy around some of these other really cool tools that we have in cryptocurrency, like Cryptometer, Cryptometer, like the bid ask sum, like sentiment, for example. But I just caution you against going down that route at first. If you are a beginner, if you're not getting the results that you want, I do recommend that you focus heavily on building a technical indicator-based strategy, because that's far easier to build to begin with, and it's really easy to backtest and get verifiable results from. Okay, so until the next time, guys. I'm Justin Wise, lead analyst and senior mentor at crackingcryptocurrency.com. If you're not already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Show us your support. Hit the subscription bell, guys, because the YouTube algo doesn't like cryptocurrency. So if you want to get notified when we're going live, which is every day, make sure to hit that bell. And if you give the thumbs up a nice slight touch, I would highly appreciate that. Obviously, the like goal for this video is 100 likes. If we can get to 100, we will raise the bar to 200, guys. So let's get there and let's keep this going. Trying to get this content in as front as many eyeballs as possible, because I don't see anybody else sharing this kind of information and knowledge, and I want people to be profitable and professional traders. That's my goal with this channel and basically with my pursuit in life. If you would like some additional help in doing that, if you would like access to my trade signals and setups, my technical indicators and strategies, our private Discord chat community, resource library, my premium webinar series, all that fantastic stuff, but more importantly, access to a community that can help you develop your own if this then that strategy with more hand-holding that you're going to get on the video, because it's or the live stream, because it's difficult for me to interact with everybody. You can check out the link at the top of the screen, premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com. Looking forward to trading with you closely, guys. Until next time, guys, make sure that you trade safely. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, sarcastic remarks, and or death threats, leave them in the comment section down below, and I'll get back to you within 48 hours. Trade safely, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.